to me, it's unhealthy to be average.
Tony, I met you about a year and a half ago. And so when I just moved to St. Pete, and as soon as I got there, we were having a good time, man. Summer 2021, we were on the boat every weekend. We were out there drinking, partying, chasing girls. You were recently single. It was a ton of fun. And we were in a group chat together, man, having a lot of fun. We had a great group. And one day, Tony just ghosts the group. He's like, I gotta go, bye. Next thing I see, Tony's crushing content, crushing business. And he's like, man, I'm entering a season right now, and the group chat isn't it. That's not it. So I'm pumped to kind of talk to you about where we've been since we last talked. We did an episode on testosterone probably about a year ago now, and we were both in kind of very different places. And it's funny how life evolves, how the seasons of our life change, our priorities change. And you can go from one summer with priorities, you were wake surfing, chasing ass, partying, to the next summer, you've built this amazing company, you've built this amazing content machine, you're doing content that's better than I've seen anyone on the internet. If you're not already following Tony, go follow Tony. So I'd love to hear from you. Let's dive into some different elements of life. How has the season changed? What have you been up to, brother?
Thank you for that. And yeah, what a fun summer that was. There's more like that coming at us too, for sure, in the near future. Going back to that group chat, do you remember what I said in that message too? Because I still remember it very specifically.
Not word
for word. It was like my exit message. And I was like, hey, I hope to run into you guys in real life. I cannot be in touch as I want right now. And if I see you, I'm going to give you a big hug. And I left. And that was an interesting time because, man, starting back to like the birth of that season, I moved here with my wife. I'm a dad and I was married at the time, and I moved here with my wife, and then we got divorced. And so like, I'm really glad to talk about these subjects now, because at the time it was even a hard time to even verbalize what that process was for me. What that was for me was like moving to a new city. St. Pete is a very distracting city. If you guys live here and know what it's like here, there's the beach, there's the boats, there's the downtown, there's the party. Tampa's 20 minutes away. There's a lot of ways to get twisted up here and get distracted. Keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with the FOMO is really what it is, because there's always something. So my wife left me, and it was simply because of the reason that most men get left. I lost my fire. I got comfy. When we got married, I took it for granted, and I just kind of let myself get stagnant. And I was like, this is life now. Because when you're with someone new, you start checking off these lists. Like when you're first with someone, first list is like the title. And then check, have we gone on a trip together? Do we get a pet together? Right? So when you run out of things to do, like, oh, well, let's get engaged. Then let's get married. Then let's have a kid. And then you get to this point where there's no more things to check. So now you're like, well, this is just what life is now. And so I just wasn't who I am today at the time. So when she left, I hit the lowest season of my life by far. It was like a time where I was in a new city. I was humiliated that I was left. I was a single dad with a daughter half the time, not knowing what the fuck to do with that, like how to even approach that situation. And my business was tanking because my energy was tanking, because my confidence was so low. So I met you right at the peak of me getting very involved in the social scene, because that was a distracting, fun way for me to feel good. I was like, yeah, social life is so fun. All these people are so fun. And of course, women are a great way to validate yourself, where you feel like, oh, well, at least I can still do this. So if you can still attract a woman, you're like, wow, okay, my confidence is good for the weekend. And it goes in that process. So I was living like that for a while until I got to the point where it was the end of the year. It was my birthday. I turned 37 in December. And it just kind of hit me that I was like, all of these people that we're inspired by and we're out on their boats having fun with, doing fun stuff with, have built something, have something. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter that you can navigate a social scene, or you're the cool guy, you're the tough guy, you got the girls. It's like, I want to have something. And I have my daughter. I'm like, I want her to have something to be proud of me for. So I knew that I had to cut away from everyone to be able to build that. I had to. And that's a deeper subject, but it's like the way I look at social life and social connection is like, for instance, if you are focused on a building phase, like you're building auto, you're growing, you're building your personal brand. If you are growing something and you want your thoughts to be focused on growing that thing, isolation is a great way to do that. Of course, there's times like this where podcasting, connecting with other mentors, connecting with other entrepreneurs and getting motivation. But if you just start going out and then you have so-and-so tell you about how her boyfriend sucks, how gas prices sucks, this political thing, this traffic thing, their nonsense that their life is consumed with. It's just conversation, but it almost like, it's like mental spider webs. It just gets everywhere. It starts to branch off for me. And then you'll be on your road bike later, or I will be, and I'll start thinking about something that person said to me. And then I'll start wondering what they could do to solve the problem, why they're still doing these things. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, their thoughts are in my head now. And I realized every time I hung out with people, my thoughts were their thoughts. I was taking their thoughts with me. And there would be days that I still had them with me. And I was like, this shit is not the move. So me personally, I had to completely ghost everybody to get ahead of my business. And that is really what happened when I did that. But I had to get away, you know?
And some really important things there. I think the one thing I really want to pull out is, do you think if the people that you were on the boat with, when you moved, your relationship ended, if those people weren't doing dope shit, would you have left? Would you have gone to do your own thing because you weren't surrounded by it? You didn't feel that pressure, that pull to go compete, to go do something badass like everyone on the boat? Or do you think you would have internally? Because I mean, it's environment versus, you know, what's going on inside of us, right? Mm-hmm. Which do you think pushed you more to go to do that, to step away?
That's a really good question. I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, that's something that it was moving here that turned me into what I turn into now, for sure. If I stayed in my hometown, I was already a big fish in my hometown, right? I was competing at a high level in jiu-jitsu. I was creating content. I started a company, had an athletic apparel brand. I was doing cool shit for my town. And I was from a town where they not really did anything. So it's easy to get comfy and say, oh, I'm doing pretty good. But when I got here to St. Pete, it's very quick to realize, like, there's a lot of levels that you can get to. Like Kevin Hart said, like, you get to a new level and then you go, shit, I want more levels. And you can stop at one level or you can go, I want more fucking levels. I want to keep going up and leveling up. So yes, it was a lot of that. I was meeting people like you, meeting people. There's so many people that I met over that summer. I remember one day James was like, hey, do you want to go watch the Grand Prix boat races? I said, yeah, let's go. Get to his house. We put the e-foil on the golf cart, drive the golf cart down to the yacht club, park, jump on this guy's $1 million boat, ride the boat out to where these boats are on the sidelines of the boat races. There's like 7 yachts tied together. Okay. Some of these yachts are 60, 70 foot and they're all tied together. And I remember getting off and we're just hopping from yacht to yacht to yacht, hanging out. There's drinks, there's food. Everyone's in abundance. Everyone's in a good mood. And I remember being like, what the fuck is this? This is the most incredible scene I've ever seen in my life. It's just it was so intense. That shit inspires you. And you start to realize, look what these guys have done. Look what people have. It's like a reminder, look what people have figured out a way to do. You know, like when I first moved here, my road bike was my meditation because I like to get on and cycle. And what happens is I would ride and I just start exploring. And you can ride by thousands of homes that are gorgeous and beautiful and waterfront. And what I kept thinking over and over again is, look how many people have figured it out. Look how many people figured this out. It's not like there's 5, there's thousands. So it just reminds you, like, this is something that's so doable for me, but it can't be done in balance and social and all that. You know, I saw your post the other day about that, where you're like, I balance my partying. Like, I just know that I can't. I wasn't like a substance abuser either. And I wasn't like a late night guy. It was more the mental pollution that social life would give me that wasn't good for me.
Right. And I didn't always balance the partying and the social life. When I lost my job at the hospital, essentially, that was kind of like my rock bottom. Like when you got left, we're at that place. And I think, when I built Otter, it was a product of the pain that I had and my need to kind of get validated again, to be somebody again, to get back to a high status place. And it wasn't for 2 to 3 years until I started finding balance again. I mean, I spent every weekend. Luckily, it was COVID. I was every weekend at my desk working 16 hours a day, building this thing right across from my business partner, Scott, who was in a similar place. I don't think balance should be something that new entrepreneurs or people trying to build things should strive for. I think balance comes later, once you have something that you already want. And to piggyback on your point of seeing all those yachts tied together, that feeling, I think that's really important for people to keep seeing too, because especially as we get successful, we get into these bubbles where we think we're hot shit. The friends that we surround ourselves with, a lot of them don't grow with us, and that's a shame. You lose people along the way. So you need to keep reaching into new friend circles, reaching into new experiences that people more successful than you are having, hanging out around people who are doing doper shit than you're doing now. Mm-hmm. Or else you start to feel like hot shit and you get complacent, and then your competitors come in and they destroy you. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to have experiences like that. And one of my struggles as we've grown is where to find these experiences. The bigger you get, the harder that becomes. And changing your friend circles, the bigger that you get also becomes harder because these people become more rare, more elusive. They hang out in more.
Yeah. Where do they even hang out?
Exactly.
That's the grand question. We talk about it all the time is I made a reel the other day about like people will tell me, I want to have more friends like you. And I'm like, me too. Where the fuck do you find them? Because where do I go? The gym and the grocery store. and I'm working. So there's not really a hangout spot that I would be involved in. So it's like, it's almost like through social media, through connections, through other people that can connect you. That's really it.
100%. Having a podcast helps. You get to have an excuse to get somebody in a room, build a relationship, and then hopefully that relationship goes somewhere. The other solution that I've discovered over the past couple of years is masterminds, and people pay a lot of money, $10,000 to go spend a week in a house somewhere. And yeah, you talk some business, some strategy, but most of it is you're paying to get in a room and build relationships with people who are at the same level as you.
Like building a frat.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's building a frat.
Yeah.
And the barrier to entry is the massive fee that it costs to be in that room. It's not for the experience that you're having. Yeah, the house is cool. The food is cool. You take a private jet. That's fun. But the money goes into, really, it's the great barrier, getting into the room with these people, building relationships with people. If you can afford to be there, you're someone that I want in my circle.
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly it. Well said.
So there's a lot of other components that I guess go into changing these seasons of life. One of the big ones I think is relationships. I think when you're dating a bunch, you're on the dating apps, you're swiping, you're trying to have sex with, whoever you can swipe right on. Gets 1, expensive, 2, distracting, 3 are usually drinking and going out on weeknights and weekends and spending a lot of mental and physical energy on that subject. I'm wondering, over the past year, as you've kind of dialed this in, has your habits for relationships changed at all, and how so?
Yeah, 100%. Like I was saying, the dating apps, in my mind, are a huge waste of time and distraction for everyone. And it's simply for 2 reasons. The divorce rate is the highest it's ever been right now in humankind. And it's simply because when you're beefing with your person, it's really fucking easy to get on social media and go, she looks like she wouldn't do that. He looks pretty cool. He looks funnier than my bitch ass boyfriend. There's so much of that, right?
It's like apps for cheating now too, right?
So it's
you go and find a different app.
I didn't even know that. But yeah, there's just so much reminder of the abundance of people. But the dating app, when you think about what that is, again, the mental spiderweb model I talked about, think about this. It's like you have time on the app and you're scrolling. It starts to seem very emotionless. So all it is like people are playing cards. They're like basketball cards. So you're just going person. You don't even attach. You're just like, do they look good? Let me read a couple. You just go through. Now you're starting this bullshit introduction conversation. So you have to put time in to get to know somebody. Then you have to plan time to meet that person. Exactly what you said. Then you have to go out to meet them, have a preliminary conversation, invest all that time, spend the money on the drinks, spend the time. It's not the move. It's for sure not the move.
It's not.
People are lonely, so they go after it for sure. And people are horny, so they go after it.
And it feels good getting the dopamine hit of a match with a hot girl. And it's almost, you're a good looking guy. If you're watching this on video, I think the validation, the dopamine hit that you get swiping and matching and just getting validation after validation, it's distracting, and getting those active dopamine hits it's a hard time to concentrate because you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's always in the back of your head and you're always looking. So there's something better right around the corner.
Exactly. It's that mentality that will fuck you, I think.
Right. So what have you changed? What's the shift? What is your situation now?
The situation now is I'm not engaged in that. I'm in a relationship and I'm absolutely not engaged in that energy. That's given me a lot more time to focus too, because when I was engaging in new conversations, again, you're just new people all the time. So what energy do you have to build something? You don't have any left. So when you remove those a new conversation is exhausting. It's mentally draining. When you meet someone new, you have to talk to them. Oh, so how do you have to ask the right questions to get to know a person. And it takes weeks, months to actually feel like, oh, we're close now. I know who that person is. So every time you have to do it, especially with me, I was doing that 3, 4, 5 times a week. So it's like you get to the point where I would be beginning to forget who I'd even ask questions to. I told you that already. I was like, did you? I must have forgot, right? It becomes something you just forget about. So that's not the move, in my opinion. Like we talked about this last time we were here. We talked about the RIMS, right? How to attract women, resources, intelligence, humor, muscle, social proof. That was a subject last time. And something that's interesting this time around, as I was just talking to you before off air, was that there was about 5 women when I remember matching that were high-level women, very attractive, interesting lifestyles that I would consider to be like up there, maybe a 10. Okay, 5 of them that would have a conversation. There was a match, Instagram, but I would never get in person with. It would be like, oh yeah, but the conversation would drop. So I felt like there must have been better men for them, and they were kind of ghosting me. 3 of them have been back in my Instagram DMs because of the season of building, because they see what we're building, what I'm doing, and how uninterested I am in women. I'm just not worried about it right now. And that's the thing I think for any men watching this, for sure, if women are your problem and you think attracting women is what you want, it's not what you want. You need to go make money, lift weights, and find a purpose, and you will not have any problem finding women. They will find you everywhere you go. It is not and you're gonna be so much better off because it's gonna be on your frame, on your terms, and you're not gonna have to be chasing anyone.
Right. And I'm going to say something probably going to be controversial.
Let's do it.
But I've got my own kind of opinions and philosophy here. It's the reason I'm still single. A lot of people will say, find somebody when you're coming up so they're not going to be marrying you for the wrong reasons, for your money. I totally disagree with that. I think as you're building yourself as a man, as a human, and your value continues to increase, the quality of woman that you're going to be able to spend the rest of your life with, that you're able to attract, continues to go up. For men, until we hit like 45, and this is done from a study, our desirability peaks between the ages of 35 and 45. So if you're building, and granted, this only works if you're continuing to become a better person, financially, personal development, mentally, and you're continuing to elevate, then why waste your time dating and finding somebody when you're coming up? Why not wait until you're at your peak and you can find that 10? Because this is one of the biggest decisions you're going to make the rest of your life, who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Mm-hmm. So I think you should optimize to find the best possible quality that you can when you're at your peak, when you're done building, or maybe not done, but you've already built, and then have them help you build. Find a partner, a teammate.
Yeah, you won't be the best version of yourself yet anyways. Like that's the point, right? Like rewind to me on here a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago. I'm 10 times what I was then in every area, truly. I think I'm better in shape, a lot more money, a lot more purpose in my life, and a lot less time to be wasting. So that's already the difference. And that's just in a year. So what can 5 do for you? So yeah, 100%. Like you're a better version as you start to grow and add to yourself, and you can attract someone different. So I just think that dating is something that people do when they're lonely, but realistically, I've got a person that I mentor in my life, a young man, and it's like he goes from relationship to relationship to relationship, cannot be single for more than 2 weeks, and then as soon as he's single again, he's back on dating apps. And I always tell him, like, why? Like, do you have a problem being alone? Like, why can't you just chill with yourself for a little bit? It just seems like you need that person to kind of cuddle with or confide in and talk to. And if you can get through that season of loneliness where you just don't need to be surrounded by a person, you can find parts of yourself you didn't even know were in there. And that's what happened with me. I got alone, truly when I moved into my own place and was living alone. And that was when I really uncovered who I was. There's parts of me I didn't even know were in here that are really powerful parts of me. But I didn't know because I was always surrounded by people, stimulation, conversation, so I wasn't uncovering them.
Yeah.
Right? And so it turned for me, I have a Thursday night free, let's go to a wine date with some Hinge girl, to I have a Thursday night free, let's go study an audiobook and meditate in the backyard and do yoga. And we're like, that was the season that I really started to come out of here, was when I started shifting the time spend.
100%. And starting to reframe what people would consider like boring activities that would normally instill FOMO. Like I'm going to spend this next weekend on my desk filming content and working because I know I'm going to be partying 2 weeks later.
I know about the weekend works.
Yeah, but young Jay would have thought and framed in his mind that sitting at his desk during a weekend when all of his friends are partying as being a loser. And I think if you can reframe it, if you can identify that sitting there at your desk building something is actually better, more valuable,
10 times better.
Yeah, and people see it that way. I mean, if someone asks me what I'm doing this weekend, and I say I'm going to be freaking working all weekend, they respect it. They respect it more than if I was to say I'm going to this cool party, I'm going to this cool club. And the older you get, the more you realize that, the more powerful it becomes. And it's an empowering feeling to say, I'm going to be sitting there grinding and building all weekend. It feels great.
Yeah, that's true. That's been the entire year. We've worked every weekend this year. I haven't taken a weekend off. I've taken like a day, like a Sunday here and there, take my daughter to the beach, but every single weekend, because we're launching the second business. So my main company, which is Atlams Creative, is Monday through Friday. There's always something to be doing. So we're occupied the entire time with that. As we started going into the second business, we're creating a course for our same client we serve with our main business that had to be done on the weekends. So my team and I were like, we have to just sacrifice this year. And it was kind of a challenge to ask them to do that, because I could tell they would be like, this is going to be a lot, you know, but it's something that we're 8 days away from launch now. And it's been so amazing, because at first it felt exciting. We're building some, then it got monotonous. Then it's like tedious in the work. And then it got really exciting again. Then you start to realize this is just what it is. This is what life is now. It's like, I would rather be doing this than going wake surfing, then going out to party, because at the end of it, it's going to be something that I built and I can look what I did here. And I just feel so much more useful. I feel like I'm being used for my purpose, which is creating something, versus if I just hang out nowadays, I just don't feel like I've had a good day if I just hung out all day. So I'll get home from a boat day and I'm like, I need to go to the gym and do an audiobook chapter, because I just can't seem to feel like I got ahead that day, you know?
Isn't it wild how that happens? I remember a time when I would talk to you and be like, I'm really want to get good at wake surfing. I'm going to be out there every weekend fucking mastering this.
Yes.
And I had that with volleyball for a long time. Obviously, I played professionally. I played as a hobby for a long time. And now I can't even get myself to like go wait in line for an hour to play a game,
Yeah.
you know, arrange, pick up games, even though it's something I loved so much at one point. Now I just feel like if I'm not building something, I'm wasting my life, my time, and it could be better spent on the greater mission. And we're building something incredible that involves a lot of people. I mean, hiring new people is my favorite thing on earth. You get to give them a livelihood. They come into the office, they're happy. And I know that if I was at home working at my desk, instead of spending 3 or 4 hours playing beach volleyball, I can probably do a lot more of that, impact a lot more lives, build a bigger company, and I'm just selling myself short. And part of that's probably unhealthy. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. But is that feeling something that you'd consider? Does that feel similar to you?
100%. Yeah. I mean, my assistant's in the room with us here, and I see you're nodding your head, because that's 100% how I am constantly. I mean, I just don't want to be chilling anymore. It doesn't seem like that doesn't seem exciting to me anymore. Per what you said, I'm sure if you're waiting in an hour line to play volleyball, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? I could be doing something better with this time. And that's exactly it. So that's why I just don't let myself get caught up in that. One step further, as I'm like, I've dropped almost every friend I had in St. Pete. I keep in touch with like 5 people, and those are quick phone calls and texts. I haven't really seen anyone. Occasionally, if I bump into someone or if they call me and I answer, this is what I notice what happens. Okay. And this is like the people who I met from the party scene, the fun scene. They try to make you feel bad for working all the time. They try to make you feel weird for being unbalanced. They try to go, oh, why? You know, that's not healthy. You shouldn't be. To me, it's unhealthy to be average, to end up as an average person. At the end of your days, average bank account, average effort, average pride, average divorce rate, average is just the fucking death in all the different ways. So when I find myself, this is what I feel happens to two. You brought this up to 2 sides. One, if you are pushing harder than your peers, they're going to start to resent you, because you're going harder than them. And so you're shining a spotlight on their wasted time. So they'll start to be like, fucking Jay, fucking Tony, always got to one up you, always got to go so hard, always got to be doing something. And they don't like that. So once I feel that energy, cut the fuck out of my life. I'm not even going to hang out with you again. Second, this is actually something they're not guilty for. Once I feel them and their fun conversation and personality starting to wake up that side of me that wants to go party again, I do the same shit. Now, I don't resent them for it. I don't judge them for it. But if I feel people start to tease the Tony who wants to go have a lot of fun, I catch it and I'm like, no, and I just ghost them for a little while long, because I'm not ready for that yet. And it's still in there. Of course, I still see the shit and I want to go do it, you know? So, I relate to, I want to be a person who looks back at my body of work and is proud of it. And like a video I made on Instagram was like, fuck balance. Anyone that I'm inspired by did not have a balanced life. And when I think about inspiring, it's like the lives you can impact, the thing that you built, how much money you can give to charity, and the team you could build. Right. And so, it doesn't have to be all selfish, glorifying reasons like, hey, I'm going to work so hard so I can get rich and stun on all you. It's not just that. It's like, there's a quote that I love, and it's like, he who says money doesn't bring happiness hasn't given enough away yet. I love that. Right? Like, I gave $1,500, we're pushing a huge amount when the hurricane hit to Fort Myers. That was the first time I ever donated to charity in my life, and that felt really fucking good. And immediately after paying it, it felt like I just bought myself something nice when I paid online. And I was like, man, it would be so cool to get $15,000. And then I'm like, that's a great goal to make more money for that purpose there. What lives can you impact with what you've done? Have the resources to make a difference in the world. So that's a huge thing that we're going to get to have when we're at that position to actually bless others and change lives, where the average people who just live for the weekends won't, And so you'll get happiness from that too.
I love that you brought that up. This has been my first year really giving back in a meaningful way, before 10, 20 bucks here and there.
Mm-hmm.
This year, man, I God forbid, but like 3 people's dogs got terminally ill. And I saw the GoFundMes on Instagram to save dogs that I knew, either the owner or the person. I knew 2 of the actual dogs that I'm talking about. And they needed surgeries, and the owners couldn't afford the dog surgery. So one of the dogs actually paid for the surgery. It's a couple $1,000, felt awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
The other one got them pretty far along their GoFundMe page, but specifically that for me was like a game changer. I love animals. Being able to give back, not only to animals in general, but to specific animals that I knew and loved, like that's power. Like,
and just the people that you knew too, yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you don't know him, that quote is really fucking powerful. It was actually T. Harv Eker who wrote the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind book, and I love that quote so much, but whoever says money doesn't bring happiness hasn't given enough away yet. And that is the fucking truth. When you can, like, this year has been a year where I've been able to really grab the checks when we go out to eat, provide for all my team, feed everyone, buy people nice presents, and actually be able to spoil people around me. And that feels so fucking good. That is one of the biggest motivations to keep crushing. It's like, yeah, I bought myself some cool shit, but it's bought my dream vehicle. I'm doing some stuff, but it's way more about being able to lead and provide for them, but also show someone who used to know me when I used to make $8,000 a month and be like, you can flip that switch whenever the fuck you want if you just decide to start sacrificing all the bullshit you're addicted to. You can get there.
Is there ever an end? Obviously, you're in the season of spend every weekend hustling right now. Are you going to continue, and for the rest of your life, to spend your weekends? When is it enough? When does it stop?
That's a good question. It will never be enough, but I will definitely start to enjoy some travel next year, right?
Yeah.
So this year has been all about, number one, I own a digital media business, so I had a structure already. I had this business, but it just, there was so much more that could have been done, and it was done this year. So I took the same business that I had for the last 6 years, and we 8x'd it in 1 year, just by implementing different systems, advertising differently, and including new packages, and scaling to different cities by hiring employees instead of it just being me anymore. The second business came out of me realizing my clientele is so huge. My clientele is real estate agents and entrepreneurs. I do commercials and advertisements and video production. So most of the people I talk to agent-wise, I'm going to answer this question in a long-form way. They would have some kind of apprehension with spending a certain amount of money to invest in their business. They wanted this thing, and this thing is social media content. But then we would say, here's the price for it. And then a lot of my calls, especially in this month, around January, a lot of my calls were, you're outrageously expensive. I heard that twice, the same term, you're outrageously expensive. And so when I heard that, I'd hang up and I was like, am I? No. Why are they seeing it like that? And so I talked to a mentor of mine. He was like, you need to make something to support the low end of your market. We have plenty. We have hundreds of clients that pay our prices, no problem. But the ones who don't want it and can't afford it, I'm like, let's create something cheaper, of course, so they can take their own cell phone and do it themselves. So we spent a year creating this program. So now that has been the focus of this year. Is all the weekends have gone towards building that. But of course, once this thing launches, there's going to be maintenance and growth and different podcasts. But yeah, we will take some trips. We will enjoy that passive income. We will start to go out and explore the world. But I never see it being an end where I get happy and feel like this is enough.
Right.
There's no amount of money that I'm going to be happy because I don't want it. Like if I had $100 million in my account right now, I would never be happy with chilling. I'm not happy unless I'm challenging myself physically, challenging myself mentally, and problem solving. Like a Rubik's Cube. I need it. In my mind, I just need that.
Right. I need to be building or I'm not happy.
I'm like a destructive Doberman.
Growth is happiness.
Yeah, I turn into like a destructive Doberman when I don't have something to do, and that's when I start to be, I'll just destroy my own life or my own whatever. So I just need something to do, and I need it. I really do.
And I think we all entrepreneurs need a phase where they're spending every single weekend grinding and have to be laser focused with no distractions. Mm-hmm. But obviously we're human. Burnout is real, and we should enjoy the spoils of our labor at some point. So, I mean, is there a monetary goal that you're waiting to hit? Is there, once you launch this project, get this up and running?
Yeah, there's goals in my mind. Like, one of my huge goals was just checked off this week because I bought my dream vehicle. And that's something I've been on my vision board for 10 years looking at that thing. So I've wanted it for a long time, and I got it. And so it was so funny because you hear it all the time. After 2 days, I walk into my driveway and I'm like, well, got that. Like it's already over. Like the thrill's already over. So I'm excited. I'm like, well, I got it now. It's no longer this fantasy. It's in my driveway. So the next one's going to be a waterfront house, which is a huge goal of mine, to live on the water. And I think if I have goals, it's having a few million in the bank, having at least $1 million coming in a year passively, and then being able to continue growing and building new things. I have natural skills in sales and in leadership. So that's where our digital media agency and the content that I create lends itself. But a passion, which I never, ever wanted to make a career, but it seems like it probably should have been because it's the thing that I get the most attention on, is fitness and the way I approach it. So I've been an athlete my whole life. I approach fitness in a unique way. We talked about that a lot when I was on here last time, but my first entrepreneur journey was starting an activewear brand called 8 Limbs Lifestyle, which is the same logo that my business has. We created leggings, joggers. This was in 2015 when Instagram was kind of a big thing, and we were selling all of it with Instagram ads. We sold out of everything on Super Bowl weekend, all of our apparel, which we only ordered about 100 pieces of each thing, but we sold out a lot. I had no understanding of how to scale business, how to reinvest. So it was like my one and done. And I was like, wow. And then it just kind of moved on to the video production. But yeah, I would love to start another fitness channel and start to educate people on fitness products, and just get people. There's so much fucking clutter in fitness now. And we live in a city where almost every gym I go to, and I hope you guys get offended by this, the trainers are out of shape and clueless. They are just not there. And so I sit around and I see this so much, and I'm like, what is happening with fitness nowadays? You get somebody, dude, they'll start working out 6 months in. They're 6 months into it. They have no skills. They're nowhere near to be teaching, and they're creating fitness influence content on Instagram. Hey, work out with me today. So today my bicep workout was this. I hit glutes like this, and I'm just like, it's scary because it's how misleading, right? So I would love to be able to go that direction as well. And I would love to be able to offer it for incredibly cheap, if not free, because that's a passion that I have. I don't want to make it about monetary goals with that fitness. That's something that people deserve. That's a bare minimum for all human beings, especially men. So I want to make that information a little easier to sift through and get a hold of, you know?
It's an interesting topic, right? There's the passion project. You love fitness. You want to do this gym thing. Mm-hmm. I have something similar with animal shelters. Obviously, it's not a good, viable business model, just like probably owning a gym isn't a good, viable business model, especially compared to what you're doing now. Mm. But it's something that you have in the back of your mind as kind of an end of the tunnel goal when money's no longer an object. You've got time, you've got money, you've got this massive skill set that you've built over time that you can apply to pretty much whatever you want. And that's the space that you really want to innovate in. I think that's awesome. I have something like that. I think every entrepreneur should have that. I think you should separate it from what you're doing to earn money, because there's this big misconception that you need to do what you love to build a business and earn money. Mm-hmm. I think that's a lie.
Yeah, I think it fucks you, actually. You can lose your passion. I've seen that happen a lot. So I competed professionally in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I dedicated my entire 20s to that sport. And when I say dedicated, I truly mean it. A lot of people say, like, they'll be like, yeah, I was an athlete too. And then I'll be like, cool. And then I find out they met in high school. I'm like, that's not the same thing, dude. Like, I was 8 hours a day for 10 years in the sport. It would be morning, afternoon, night. And if I wasn't training, I was studying on YouTube, and then I compete in the weekends. It was a true dedication. I was obsessed with the sport. And once I started teaching it, I didn't like training as much anymore. Then it became more about teaching, and I was dealing with my students and developing them. And I actually stopped teaching because of that. I said, hey, this is my thing. Like, I want jiu-jitsu to be so important to me that I never lose focus for it. And so when I found that happen, I was like, I'm actually going to stop teaching, because teaching wasn't worth, even I was giving back, but I had to be selfish. Like, no, if I lose my intensity to train and my passion, I'm not fucking giving back to you guys. I'm done teaching. I'll start training again. I think it happens to a lot of people.
Right.
They become a trainer and then they stop having the enthusiasm because they're telling people to work out all day. And by the time it's something, I don't have to have my own workout anymore. Then they're stressed and they go eat, and it happens to a lot of people. So sometimes when you mix the two, you can take it away from yourself and you can steal it from yourself, you know?
Yeah. We were just at a mastermind recently, and one of the guys asking for business advice was running a skateboard company. He was like donating a skateboard for every person that bought one. He was doing these discount skateboards for underserved kids. And he's like, how do I make the money that you guys are making? I'm like, well talk to me about your business model. And he told me what he was doing. I'm like, listen, you obviously love skateboarding. I see that. ask everyone else here what they do for money. And it was a bunch of like marketing agency owners and content creators. And I'm like, all right, did you ask everyone? It's like, yeah, like what'd you notice? Like my business is way different than what they're doing. And sometimes the business model, who you're serving, matters a lot more than what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to ignore your passion forever, but if the goal is to impact the world and you do that through making money and building a giant business, then find your best avenue to do that based on your skill sets and opportunity as it arises. And then your passion project will come.
Yeah, and that's well said. And passion should stay like that. It doesn't have to be business. One of the things I talk about a lot on my page and the reels I make is that, and I've seen this a lot. You've probably seen it too, because we're in St. Pete. It's like the fake spiritual capital of Florida. There's so many. What I see a lot is this. This is what I see happen. It could be spirituality. It could be breath work. It could be fucking nutrition. It could be whatever. You get a person who they go, I'm interested in this thing. Okay, I like this thing. It caught my attention. Something about it called to me. You get somebody who they're interested in something. Let's just call it like, I want to teach spirituality or I want to teach breath work. So cool, great, go learn it. They'll do like a seminar or certification or some sort of like 6 months of introduction, and now they are
an expert, a
expert
guru.
and a coach, and they try to monetize it. I've seen this 100 times, and it's cringe as fuck. But beyond that, it's never going to lead them to financial freedom ever, because you're still just a student. Accept that and enjoy that journey. And I think I had the jiu-jitsu lens screwed on, where in jiu-jitsu, you have to be there for like 6 to 7 years before you can even teach. And that's only if your coach is out of town and you're just covering. Right. You would never be a year or two in and be teaching a class. You just don't know anything yet. It's 12 years to get a black belt in that sport.
10,000 hours before you reach any form of mastery in anything.
But you see that a lot nowadays, and that's what happens. Someone, they lose direction, and I see it a lot, man. There's so many areas you could describe this, but when you see it, it's always a bummer, and you don't want to tell them that, but you're like, man, like just spend some more time, be a student before you try to make money with your new hobby.
Right.
And yeah, your business doesn't have to be what you love. People say that, but I don't think it has to be like that. You can I love video creation, and we get to work with cool companies after this podcast is done. I get to shoot you for a supplement company advertisement that hired my company. So there's cool synergies here, but I don't have to make my income based on fitness and jiu-jitsu,
Right. And I think video production is one of the kind of premier skills that everyone needs to have at least a little bit of knowledge in. It's something that I've been really diving into as an entrepreneur over the past year. Not just like cameras and lighting, but storytelling, actually being able to look into a lens and talk. And it is a tough skill that you have to develop over time and practice, get comfortable with. Just being able to sit here and carry on a conversation in front of a camera is daunting for a lot of people.
Yep.
And obviously your clients who are entrepreneurs, real estate agents, probably don't have a lot of experience with this, but they need this skill set. And I know with your kind of value ladder, you've got the done for you, pay a lot of money, you come in, you do it all for them. With the offer that you've been developing, talk to me about that. How can normal people learn video production quickly? Yeah,
this is huge. So I'm really excited to unleash this to the world. So we made this target market for real estate agents, but it could be for anyone. It could be any professional business, any entrepreneur. If you're a title loan officer, if you own a local business. So we basically just created a model where what's needed right now is organic daily content, volume, lots of content. You need to split test everything. So an ideal strategy would be, hey, post a piece of content every day. I post 2 reels a day every day on my personal page. On our business page, we post 3 pieces of content every day. And you need that volume. So when we create content for our clients, we would do 3 commercials, well-executed ones, maybe a month, maybe even a quarter. We would do them for them. And so then what about the other days in between? They just get caught up. You have your cell phone. When you're driving around, for instance, if you had a sparking conversation with someone and you're like, okay, I love that. It's in you. The words are bubbling up. That's the perfect time to pull your phone out and capture that. It doesn't matter if you're driving, because the content's coming out with passion, right? Or you're going to have an interview with a new builder or another entrepreneur. What we're doing here, we're podcasting and we planned it. But this type of thing could be created on the fly. Just by, hey, put this microphone on, Jay. And then that's just talk. You can do it anytime you want. So I wanted to be able to help people understand how to do this on their own. So we created the course called 7-Day Social Realtor to do that. So we teach, it's a 7-day program. It's no more than an hour a day. In 7 days, there's social media machine. So we go through day one. We teach them all the mindset, all the limiting beliefs, all the reasons why they don't suck on camera like they think they do. And we make sure they process through that, because that's the first thing. We kill some common misconceptions. Day two, it's all about how to present on camera. Speed of speech, verbal cadency, the volume, their excitement, their posture, where to hold eye contact. We go through media training. Then we go through how to shoot. All this is done with a cell phone, which everyone already has. Our phones are so nice nowadays. We use big cameras in our business, but there's times you can get away with using a cell phone. How to edit on an iPhone app with a really nice high-quality software that's free on the iPhone. CapCut.
Boom.
That's it. We do a whole detailed editing tutorial on CapCut. And then how to use social media strategy, where to post what type of content, how to set this up, how to link, how to write our captions, how to post the media, how to make sure it gets seen. And then the last day, we teach them how to go in the field and do it, how to use phone stabilizers, how to fly drones, how to use microphones, how to do the stuff that we would do for them if they don't have the money to hire us, which is really, it came from two reasons. The client that would need this would be one of two clients, or actually both. Client one is the cheap client. They don't want to pay a media company. They want to try to do it themselves. So they pay our course once, they learn it, they do it on their own. Client two, which is an ideal client, would hire a media company once a quarter to create ads for them, have us do their listings, but every day they're putting content out, right? And that's the huge thing. Everyone needs it nowadays, and everyone's trying to do it, but you're only going to find your avenue if you're trying a lot. Once you get in the field of it, you start having fun, you start being creative, you're finding your niche. Oh, that's the one that everyone engages with. And then but if you don't try and you only do a media company ad once every quarter, you're never going to know what works for you.
Right.
So let's try and turn everyone to content creators.
It's a funny thing when you're starting to kind of create that content machine and get it going. And you said you convince people that they don't suck on camera.
Yeah.
At least me, when I started, I sucked. I'm sure you weren't great either. Charismatic, sure. But a lot of people, when they start filming themselves and they whip out their camera in public, it does suck. It looks awkward. It feels awkward. But every one of those videos that they post is 1% better, right?
Yeah.
And it's not only the content of what they're saying, but their presence, their comfort level. So like everybody says in their general advice, just getting started, just do it, just record, just post, I think helps a ton. And having the guidance to know what equipment to use, what platforms to use, and have someone to give you some feedback along the way makes the world of difference.
It does, and it's going to help people a lot. But to go back to what you just said, there's something that's a misconception. People don't suck on camera. People try to be people that aren't on camera.
Right.
That's where people suck. If you're having, like, everyone talks to someone, no matter how fucking weird you are. Everyone has a friend. Everyone has something. So we all have people that we can have a conversation with. And this is what will happen. You can be there with the client and you can be having a conversation off camera. Yeah, cool. Once they know they're being recorded, they stiffen up and they try to be this version of themselves that their ego thinks they need to be liked. That's what fucks people, is they just don't know how to just be authentically them. And right now, our generation is very smart. We pick up on that quick. Our parents used to believe in pro wrestling. And they thought it was real. Well, we used to believe everything on TV because TV, if it's produced, it must be real. Now everyone knows what reality shows. So we can pick up an authenticity very quickly. And when you see people on camera being inauthentic, it gives you this feeling of, that's not really them. That's why you get someone like Honey Boo Boo, who's able to become a star. Why? They weren't scripting her. She was too young to do that. But she was just being her, kind of a indulgent, redneck, I don't give a fuck, young Southern girl. People loved her, not because she was elegant and very lovable, because she was being authentic. And that's what it is. So when you can teach people to realize, like, hey, people are going to like you for you, the first thing we teach them in the course is you don't want every client as agents. You don't want everyone to like you. It's not about that. It's about showing who you really are so that you're going to actually pre-qualify the people who already like dealing with you. And then you're going to have great relationships and great responses for them, because the ones who are turned off by you and how you present, how you look, how you speak, good, go. Let them go to the other agent, because then you deal with it's all going to be smooth transactions after. Does it make sense?
100% agree. I guess getting someone out of their shell
Yeah.
to be themselves in front of a camera, that's the tricky part.
That's it. People just need to stop acting like the indie beast. I see it so much because, I mean, we've done hundreds, not thousands of shoots with clients. So we get there on shoot day, and I watch them just switch. And I'm like, why? Why are you being this person right now? That is not who you are when I deal with you in life. Why do you think you need, if they just think they need to be that? So they can start to get out of that. And that's why shooting your own content is the best way to do it, because you're practicing. You're being more and more of you every time. Maybe you don't post it, but you're like, you know what? I'm just going to send this out and see what happens. And it'll be so much better when you can just be you. You can't hope that charade for too long. If you're not being you, how long can you pretend to be someone else? You don't have the ability to. You can't hold on to it. So
And
it's just
it makes the process of creating content not fun when you're like that, when you're in that frame.
yeah.
Is there any trick that you use with your clients or in your course to get people out of their shell and get them to open up, be themselves in front of the camera?
I mean, yeah, we try to just converse with them off camera sometimes and get them talking like this, and then we'll just roll. So one of our big things that we sell, it's one of our high sales, we do batch reels. Everyone's into batch reels now, but one of the ways we approach batch reels is that we set the camera off center. So in this situation, if you were the client, I would have a camera here filming you this way, but you'd be talking to me. So the camera's filming you, but you're not looking into the lens. And I would ask you questions that you knew about. Jay, so what was it like in medical school in New York City? And then I just get your answer. Cool, awesome, just like this. And then that's a piece of content that can be cut and posted because it's organic. They're just talking to another human being. They're not presenting. There's a big difference in conversing and presenting. And when you're conversing, it's off, you're not looking. When you're presenting, you're looking into the camera and talking like this, and it's very different. It's just, who does that? Who looks into a lens like a robot? So that helps a lot, is to have them talk to a real person, eye to eye, and film them from the side.
It's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
I'm actually talking about this today. This is my second podcast of the day, and I spent another 40 minutes doing YouTube videos, talking to a camera. This I could do for hours. You see Rogan do the shit for 3-4 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Talking to a camera is exhausting. And partially probably because I'm still a little bit in that frame where I'm like, okay, I'm presenting to the camera and looking directly into the lens, trying to be engaging to an inanimate object. And it's a practice skill set, just getting relaxed, pretending, treating the camera like it's Tony.
Yeah. Teleprompters help too. We use teleprompters for a lot of our stuff. So that
I
does.
tried one. It felt so awkward. And I looked
Did you
at
have
the
a
video.
remote?
It was one of the apps that kind of followed along as I talked.
Yeah, but do you have a remote in your
No.
hand? So the way we use it is we set it up on the lens. So you're looking into the lens of the camera with the reflective glass,
Right.
and you're seeing the words like Star Wars style come across the screen. But you can pause and rewind with your remote. So you're holding a small
I'll
a
try
keynote
that next
remote.
time. You
So
can
if
literally
you-
see my eyes like on the final video, and it looks so stupid.
Yeah, it takes a little time, but that does help people that can't get through it. And
Right.
I don't need teleprompters. When we batched out our course, my two other presenters, other coaches in the program, used it for every module they did. And some people need that. They can read directly. I like to just rant and go. So
too.
I respond better without it, but it's a way to help people to get through some stuff.
Cool. Speaking of tools and softwares that help people create content, let's do a little preview of the new offer. I'd love to talk for a second about some basic equipment for someone on a budget and then someone not on a budget.
Yeah.
Let's start with the budget equipment. What do you typically start people with? I
So-
know you said a phone.
Yeah, that's it. They don't need that's the budget and the high end. If you have unlimited budget, then you would buy a nice DSLR camera. But realistically, for what we teach the course for, wouldn't even be best used because you're gonna have to fiddle with it and break it out and deal with settings and learn that. So your iPhone, especially the new 13 and 14, are phenomenal. Most people have a great camera in their pocket. So secondary, if you're on a budget, you're gonna get a cell phone tripod, okay, and you're gonna bring that around with you. It's small, it can collapse. You can always have that. You're gonna get a basic light. I sent a light to you that was more than a couple $100. The lights that we use are like 1,500. They're big, they're huge, they're LED, they're beautiful, clean light. But right now on Amazon, you can go get some nice soft boxes and you're good to go. You find a window and a microphone. You can get a basic plug-in microphone on Amazon, maybe $60 that plugs into the auxiliary jack of your phone and use like a lavalier mic. You can make great content like that. Now to the premium gear, we have a gear set that we have linked in our course that we recommend. That's all Amazon affiliate links. It's a 3-piece combo set and it's phenomenal. It's all you ever need. That's going to be your cell phone. Preferably it's an iPhone. iPhones just have better camera quality than other phones.
Yeah.
I don't care about the software, but the camera is just better on iPhones. The HDR is just clean. It's going to pick the window. It's going to get the facial tones better. You're going to use a cell phone stabilizer. You're going to use the DJI mic, and you're going to use the Mini 3 Pro. We actually have this here with us.
Oh, that's my first time seeing this guy. And if you're just listening to this, I had a DJI,
And screw the base on.
I guess the mini drone. And the biggest pain in the ass with it was like plugging your phone
Yeah.
into the remote each time, setting it up, turning on the software,
No,
linking
exactly.
it. These new bad boys have the screen
I've been
built right
flying
in.
drones since I had to attach a full-size DSLR to a drone that had a 10-minute battery life. So the drone was the size of a coffee table. And then went to the Phantom 4, then to the DJI Mavic, then the Mavic 2. Now we're on the Mini 3 Pro. So here's our kit. Number one, this is the Osmo 6 cell phone stabilizer. Very, very simple. This just folds down really easily. And it also has an extendable pull. So you can take this with you anywhere you go. You're going to get clean content. It auto turns on when you open it up. flip it up, and it automatically balances. It can flip vertical or horizontal, which is beautiful. And then what's nice about it is you can set it on a table. Let's say we're going to mic it up. It will follow you around the room. So this Osmo will automatically use your cell phone software, your face tracking to follow you around. So this can record you like a camera person. $150, no brainer to get.
Wow, this came a long way since I was first. I think I bought the first one they ever made.
And that's the 6. So the 6th editions, right?
Crazy.
This DJI mic is an absolute game changer too. This is just a bag, but it comes in like an AirPod style case, and you have a transmitter or 2 transmitters. You can podcast with these. They clip right on. They charge in the case, and then your receiver. It records to a cell phone, iPhone, or a DSLR camera, and super clean audio quality. It's a huge audio is such an important part of the experience. So when people are recording with a cell phone, even just a selfie rant with microphone as someone scrolling through IG is going to come off so much better because you're going to hear deeper and just more connective voice. And then second is this little beautiful, tiny little bite-sized hamburger drone. So we've got this little guy, the Mini 3 Pro. It can easily fit in a pocket. And then we have the controller with the built-in screen. And this is super bright, so when you're in the sunlight, you can still see it. What I love about this drone, the reason why we switched all of our employees to this drone is because this drone films vertical as well. So when all the previous drones, when we make our high-quality reels, we would film horizontal, and then you would crop the vertical. So you're losing 2/3 of your quality because when you crop in, you're losing the sides of your frame, but you lose quality. So you're getting pixelation. Even though it was recorded in 4K, you're not getting that quality. Now, this drone, as you see, we can record normal landscape, but the drone can also flip vertical.
Wow, the other ones don't do that?
No, this is the only one on the market that does this, which is why we switched all to it. So now
and
you
that
can
one also
film.
shoots in 4K?
4K, actually shoots 5K.
Jesus.
But you can film vertical. It follows you. It tracks you very well. It's an incredible feature. There's a feature called Master Shots, which I love so much. We demoed it in the course. We teach you how to use all this in our course. But you literally can just say, you draw a box around your focal point. That could be a hotel, a house, a location, a beautiful destination on a resort. And it will do a program called Master Shots. So what's going to do is it's going to automatically take 8 different shots that are 8 to 10 seconds long with different dynamic movements. So it's going to do a flying and a push down, a pull out and a tilt up, a spin as it goes down, what's called a droney. It's going to do so many different movements. So you don't have to be a drone pilot. It does it for you. When you get that clip in your software, you can just insert those sections into your video and it's beautiful movement. So there's no irky jerky, quick, fast moving drone shots.
Man, technology's come so far.
The best part is no license needed for this size. So drone license was a thing for a long time you had to have. You don't need one for a drone that's this small because the weight is under. And you can travel with this because the battery's small enough.
I have crashed or lost way too many of those things to ever buy another one unless it's for business.
Yeah.
But man, I guess the course would help, right?
Yeah.
Not crashing these things.
Absolutely. I mean, they're hard to crash. These are hard to crash nowadays. But yeah, this course is not just for real estate agents. We chose to title it 7-Day Social Realtor because for targeting for ads, as you know, right? We can easily drive our traffic to our main serving client. But anyone can benefit from this course if your goal is to create social media content. You don't have to be a real estate agent. This would benefit anybody, for sure.
High budget. You've got no budget limit on production equipment. You're still shooting with the iPhone?
No.
What are you shooting with?
Sony A7 IV.
What kind of lens? If you're doing talking head content in a studio.
I'll use a Tamron 20-75, which I brought with me here today.
The Tamron 20-75.
28-75. It's a 2.8 aperture lens. It's beautiful. This is what we use for all of our commercial production is this guy right here. So we'll put this on a full frame Sony A7 IV, and this guy is how I film all my content you see in my IG. So this is what I take with me in my gym bag. This is everything you see in my content. And, you know, right now on IG, what's helping the content I produce a lot is everyone films a cell phone.
Right.
So if you can record on a $4,000 rig, it does look better. It looks 10 times better. And so when you're scrolling through, you automatically see the difference in that.
Absolutely. What does a lens like that cost?
Like $1,000.
$1,000.
It's about $1,000, and the camera's going to be about $3,000 for the body. So you're in a couple thousand for this. I mean, camera equipment, that's one of the things that we've had to teach people as well, right? When we would show up to a shoot to do a product, we would have $10,000 of equipment.
Right.
Right. And then more than that in experience and knowledge. And sometimes clients would only want to pay a couple $100 for something you would use all that for. And it just got to the point where I was like, it's something, we're doing something wrong here if I can't make them see the value.
Right.
Which is one of the biggest shifts this year, right? We have hundreds of clients that are paying. We are the most expensive agency for real estate. So we are the highest price of anyone in our area. And we also are the busiest and have the most clients. So
I think you'd be doing yourself a massive disservice if you're not the most premium in the area.
Yeah. And the reason is because there's no money to scale, no money to try anything out, and you're just price competing to the bottom. So because we charge the most, one, when a client pays the most money, how do they usually operate?
It's going to be the easiest client to deal with, the most the hardest clients are the ones that are nickel and diming and trying to bargain with you every step of the way.
But when they spend money, they tend to show up with more eagerness. They're like, hey, I'm in this now. So what do you need me to do? Great. That's what I want to hear, right? Second of all, we have money to advertise. We have money to hire and train new employees, which makes us more available for scheduling. Real estate agents, all they really wanted when I realized that quickly was speed in scheduling, speed in delivery, and dependability. They could give a fuck about 5K, 4K, 6K. They don't care about your cinematic movements. They don't care about what I thought they cared about, what all the filmmakers want to think they care about. So once we figure that out, we're cool. So let's just package these structures and make it really valuable. So when an agent gets a package with us, they get about 7 pieces of media versus their traditional photographer would give them just photos. Yeah. They're getting vertical videos, YouTube edits, Facebook edits, Instagram, TikTok, everything. So they're covering every base. And that's why they're getting so much value from us, why they keep coming back, because we're giving them more than other agencies can. But we're able to produce that because we have a team, right? So we wouldn't be able to keep up if you're a one-person show. We have overnight editors edit everything. We have a full-time operations director that schedules and deals with them. We have shooters that go shoot every single day.
Yeah, there's a big, misconception about charging more. People think it's like big corporate greed if you're charging a lot of money for your services, but it's the opposite. It's giving yourself the ability to serve your clients to the highest possible degree with the best equipment, the best people, and the most time. I mean, if you were trying to do what you did on a bigger scale, you'd have to take more clients, which means less time with each individual client, less quality of work. So if you're listening to this and you're trying to figure out how to price your services, go premium. Always. And give your client as much value as possible.
100%. And there's something about that too, energy-wise, right? We didn't get into this much, but I am a huge law of attraction believer. My faith is higher than it's ever been in that. And I truly believe that what you focus on is what you attract. So what happens with money is when you if you're serving clients and you get a client to spend more money than they're comfortable with, they're spending, like, it's all relative, but let's just say they're comfortable with $2,500, but you get them to $5,000 and they do a $5,000 package, which is multiple videos. It's going to cover some stuff for them. They're spending that money, and after they spend it, they get this emotional high, this dopamine hit, like, oh, I just invested in my business. So now what they feel like is they feel like a person that's growing, that's increasing, that's about to have a big change. They start to walk differently. They start to treat the next client because now they're like, hey, I'm not the same as I was 10 minutes ago. I just spent $5,000 on my business. That changes everything for them. So now they're showing up more eager and more cooperative when you're working with them, but they're also showing up better on their day-to-day shit because they're not identifying. I shared this post that I absolutely love, and it says, you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror. You become confident by having an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are.
I love that quote.
And when you think about that, that's fucking true. So if you say you're this, oh, I'm the best agent, I'm the best, where? Show me where. Like, you don't spend money in your business, you don't invest, you don't read books. So when people start doing all those things and they know they're not lying to themselves anymore, that's when they really get that magic. That's when they get unleashed because they're like, wow, like nothing can stop me. I'm going to pull money in because now I just spent it. And it does happen like that every single time.
Love that you said that, especially about affirmations. People just yelling affirmations in the mirror and then have nothing to back it up with and don't ever back it up. It's a waste of time. Yep. If you're going to do affirmations, make sure you're actually pulling through, living up to what you're saying to yourself in the mirror. Tony, brother, when does your offer go live?
So we are about a week away from launch here, but we will absolutely be live by first week of December. Once again, that is 7-day social realtor. Hopefully that can be tagged somewhere when we post this. And I really, really think this is going to be a huge game changer. It's going to change the way people do the real estate business, but other entrepreneurs are going to benefit tremendously from this as well.
Check the link in the description if you're interested in 7-day realtor. And if you're not already, seriously, go follow Tony. You're not only going to get more stuff like this, insights into growing your business, becoming a better person, but go look at the quality of his content, take notes, and go shoot him a message and annoy him. Say Jay sent you.
I may or may not respond, but I welcome all the messages, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. This is always a blast jamming with you.
Always. Yes, sir.
And if you're listening and you enjoyed this one, please shoot us a subscribe and rate us a 5-star review on iTunes.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.